So welcome Strategy Battle Gamers to another GBHL YouTube video. You're here with your host GBHL Damian, and I'm here with my hobby vlog number 43, and this is the fifth hobby vlog looking at my project Gundabad. Here is what I've got so far. This is what I've been working on and what I've got left in the army. So to just reorientate you a bit, I know you saw one of my hobby vlogs fairly recently this week, but that vlog that went up last Monday, so a week ago, was actually filmed 2 weeks ago. So that was all filmed before we went out to Nova, and I only managed to upload it when I came back from Nova. So essentially, between that video, I then had a week off, and then I've had a week working on it before the video that you're watching now. So yes, so this video is covering the time between Tuesday the 6th, I think it was Tuesday the 6th, and Monday, whatever it is when you're watching this. It's about Tuesday 5th, would that make it the 12th, I guess? Yeah, so between Tuesday 6th and Monday the 12th. And when I got back from Nova and I started working again on Tuesday, I had 9 days left, I think, 9 or 10 days left to finish this project. So let's crack on and show you what I've been doing. So first things first, the 6 Gundabads that you've seen on the way are now finished. So you saw these before. I think I've done the highlighting on the armour in vlog 42, but you can now see as I spin these around that they are all completely finished. I've done all the highlights on them. So I've got that guy, still at the moment blue tacked to their milk bottle top bases just for ease here. Very happy with how they look. On exactly the same paint scheme that I followed for all the other guys. This is one of my favourite ones of this batch. I like the way he turned out. So these are now Gundabads 13 to 18 in my army. And I've got 18 completely painted Gundabads, which is kind of cool. The army's coming together nicely. So basically, after I'd done the mithril silver highlights you'd seen, iRex Earthshade again was worked back into the recesses, which makes a huge difference. And you see how much less shiny they are, and that's, you know, some of the silver hasn't been gone over. It's just the difference it makes when you put the shade back into the shadows. It changes the balance of how much is shaded. And then basically, Baneblade Brown or Baneblade Brown and the base coat were then used to highlight the rest of it. It's one of my least favourite ones, this guy. So there we go, there's those 6, and they took a good, well, I don't know exactly, I didn't keep track of it, but a good few hours to do all the highlights. It's taken a lot of work. As I said, I started working again on Tuesday evening, and I've been at work, but it is now Friday evening, so those guys I finished last night. So 3 evenings work essentially to do the highlights. But not just the highlights, because you'll also see some other stuff in the background. Firstly, we have Bolg! Here is Bolg, and he has been based and shaded. So he's ready for his highlights now, and as goes my plan, because he's based and shaded, he's now been glued onto his scenic base that I drilled all those weeks ago. So there he is, lovely, lovely model. I'm very much looking forward to getting stuck into him and trying to make him pop a bit. So he's had a Rakarth flesh base coat on his skin, a lead belcher armour. I deliberately went for a bit of a darker armour on this guy. I might still work up to the mithril silver, but I just wanted him to look a bit different and stand out a bit. His main belt was done in Rhinox hide, and I think the skin, the faces in there, the all faces, were done with Tuskor flesh. And then basically it was mainly shaded with iRex Earthshade, but the skin was shaded with a kind of mix of iRex Earthshade and Carroburg Crimson. And here's the mounted version. He's done it the exact same way, and here's his dog. And his dog I've actually done a bit more work on, so after shading it, I gave it a bunch of dry brushes of different browns. I've then shaded it again to see how that would look, and I'm now going to kind of dry brush it again. So I'm kind of working on the warg at the moment, basically just to try and figure out what... just the thing is, again, when you're only doing one model, the exact technique doesn't really matter so much as just getting it to look right, because I don't have to replicate it. But there he is. So I've got him based and shaded, and he's next on the to-do list. But also alongside this, I've slapped silver over my last 6. Here are my last 6 Gundabads. I think you saw them when they were black. You now see that all the armour areas have had silver very, very roughly applied to them. It's done with a large brush. I'm going to tidy it up a bit as I go and base coat the other areas. So doesn't really matter if I go over too much. You can see it's very, very rough and ready here. Just all caked on there. And I kind of wanted to show you this. It's hardly it hardly makes them look good by any means, but I wanted to show you this because I hold him and hold, where's the same bodywork? It's here, isn't it? Put these guys next to each other, that becomes that. So this one isn't painted any worse or any rougher than this guy was, but eventually that this really rough and ready scheme will become this. So I'm really happy with this guy. I'm happy with how the Gundabads look, and I think it's important to kind of, hopefully there's a bit of motivation to kind of say that if your base coats are a bit rough and ready, it doesn't matter. You can kind of get past that. So there we go. So these guys are finished. I'm going to take these guys off their base and put them in the cabinet with the other 12 and the captain. Then, as I said, it's Friday night. I've got a fair bit of painting time this weekend, and so I'm going to hopefully blitz Bolg. My hope is that you'll see in a few minutes' time, you'll see another update with Bolg being finished or something. And ideally, I'd like to get these guys completely base coated and shaded. That's my plan for the weekend. So I'll hopefully at the very least do a little update on this for you on Sunday evening. And if these guys are base coated and shaded and these guys are finished, I'll be happy. I've then only got like 4 evenings next week to finish it off, so I think that's just about enough time to do the highlights on these. But any more than that, and I'm going to be really up against it. But for now, I remain cautiously optimistic about getting it finished in time for doubles. I'll have to wait and see if I do manage it, but hopefully, otherwise, well, I won't have an army and it'll be a bit of a problem. As ever, make sure you check out what Adam... Oh, why am I signing off? I'm not signing off because there's going to be another bit. I have no idea when it will be or how far I'll be, but that bit will be now. Okay, so it's time for an update. It is currently Monday evening, so this vlog will probably go out on Tuesday. Sorry I didn't get up today, but I just couldn't get a kind of update film for you last night. So it's Monday evening, and in what will probably surprise no one, I'm a bit behind schedule. Not disastrously so, but a bit. But I'll show you what I've done. So first things first, I have finished Bolg on foot. So here he is. Bolg! And I'm pretty happy with this guy. And there, obviously on it, I think you saw him base coated and shaded on his base. There we go, so I'll just talk you through here. Basically the armour was built up just like my Gundabads, but with one more level. So I used lead belcher to do the first highlight, then mithril silver to edge highlight, and then iRex Earthshade I worked back into the recesses. It's interesting on his head here, some of the detail, trying to figure out if it was hair or if it was the plates, but I think I've got it kind of right. Lovely, lovely model. Really like this model. Lots of detail on it. So that's how I did the weapons. Also on here, I put on the weapon, I used a bit of Caribou Crimson at the end just to kind of give a bit of red into it, almost a kind of dried blood thing, without going a bit too OTT. The skin's obviously relatively complicated. In that it's quite tricky to paint this kind of colour skin, and I basically used these 4 paints here. So I've got Pallid Witch Flesh, Rakarth Flesh, Gawthor Brown and Caribou Crimson. And I've got I can't actually tell you how I did it, but I just kind of kept working up highlights and shading. So I kind of highlighted up Rakarth Flesh, and then I started working in Caribou Crimson with, I mixed Rakarth Flesh with Gawthor Brown to get a kind of darker shade on it. And then mixed that into the recesses. Then added Pallid Witch Flesh to give the kind of highlights to get up to a kind of near white on some bits. And then I was using Caribou Crimson to kind of work in around the edges of the armour to give that hint of kind of blood or wounds or something. So he's bringing that kind of pink in. So he's got a bit of life to him essentially. I was quite pleased with the face. He's got that big dead eye that he's got, which I think looks quite cool. And his other eye over here, and again tried to work in a lot of pink into the face. I don't know how close up that'll let me get. Something like that. To kind of give the detail on his face, which seems to come out alright. The belts were just done with a series of browns like normal. The dwarven faces were kind of tusk or flesh, and then other kind of lighter colours mixed in. His little feet and his bootstraps down there. He turned out alright, I think. I like him. I think he's a cool leader for my army. But yeah, so there we go. There is Bolg on foot. As I said, by this point I was hoping to have Bolg on foot and Bolg mounted finished, and I'll show you Bolg mounted now, and he is sadly not finished, but he is close. So he's very nearly finished. I think I could still doing another kind of layer or two of highlights and stuff on his skin just to blend it a little better. Tried to do it in exactly the same way, but I did it separately. You can see that just below his left eye, actually, I've shaded that recently, and I need to do a bit of a highlight on there to bring that out. Armour done, well, everything on this model's just done exactly the same way. But I think, as memory serves, the dwarf faces are a little, kind of need another highlight to bring them up to where the other ones were. Maybe the same with the buckles. But he's and the same with the bear paws, actually. They need to bring a bit more to pop. So it's just, there's a couple more highlights. I think probably on himself, he probably needs about an hour. Again, I'm happy with how he's turning out, I think. It's quite fun trying to achieve this. If you look in the films, he's almost got dried blood underneath his chin. So it's quite fun trying to kind of get that dark red thing without it looking like he's got a red face. It's kind of cool. Lovely model again. A lot of fun to paint. And then tonight I've been working on his warg a bit. So the fur's finished. The fur was basically dry brushed with a bunch of different browns, and then it was given a wash, and then it's been given another dry brush. And I'm pretty happy with how that's ended up. And then I've started working on the flesh bits today, which I'm not dry brushing, I'm kind of layering. So that was a kind of Gawthor brown highlight over the base coat, and then I've worked in a mix of Gawthor brown and Rhinox hide into the shade, into the recesses, and you can see that there. So next up will be a highlight for that. Pretty pleased with how his face is coming together, the warg. Should be able to see his eyes, hopefully. It plays nice. Got that one in there. It's quite cool. And I've highlighted up his teeth as well. Darker for some reason. Oh god. Is it better? I don't know. There we go. He's coming together well. I've also done his base. It'll probably, because I'll keep touching it when I'm painting it, I'll probably need some touching up. But basically, I dry brushed it a bunch of greys, but then also chucked a kind of green wash over it. It wasn't a from the wash range. It was just this one, Caliban green, that I watered down and chucked over it. So, and then dry brushed again over it with Storm Vermin fur. And what that means, I don't know how well you can see on this, but kind of like my Spider Queen base, you've got a kind of more natural feel to the rock. It's got other colours in there, you know, you've got green in the recesses, and it kind of warms the rock up a bit rather than just making it cold grey. So there is my leader as he stands at the moment, nearly done. I'm pleased with how he's come along, but all told this model's probably got another couple of hours work in it before it's finished. So he was meant to be finished by last night, and he's obviously not. Also, these guys were meant to be base coated and shaded by the end of this vlog, and they are, albeit the vlog's coming a day late, but I've shaded them tonight. So my 6 Gundabads are, the wash is drying on them. You've seen these 4 times before, obviously, with 3 times before with the other set, but this is the shading stage. I've just had iRex Earth Shade chucked all over them. I apply it very heavily over the armour to get that kind of brown weathered armour on it, and then as you've seen over the last few weeks, I'll be highlighting it up next. So I did manage to get those done to the point where I wanted them, again, albeit with this vlog coming in a day late. But they're ready for some highlights. And the last one is this dude. There we go. So yeah, so those are the things I told you I was going to be doing. Obviously the other thing I'm going to do with these is, I've got them to hand. Now that these guys have been based and shaded like this, just like I did with the last lot, I'm going to take these, my completed bases for these that have been sitting here waiting for ages, and I'm going to glue these guys onto this and then paint the highlights when they're on their actual bases. So at least I won't have any bases to do. So yeah, when these are fully dry tomorrow, there's still a bit of damp wash on this, I'll be cutting them off these bases and then putting them onto these ones where they've got the pins on, ready to highlight up. So that's that. And that was all that were left of my army, but I decided kind of on a whim to do something else. This guy here is, you saw him before, I've got Yazneg done, and over the years I've done a couple of kind of Azog's Hunters or Gundabad kind of heroes. I've got Azog on footer mounted, I've got Yazneg and Fimble footer mounted, And because I'm really happy with how this army's going, it makes sense for me to be putting them on these bases. So it involves a bit of rebasing. Obviously that's not a priority. But what I decided to do was rebase Gorb. I love this model. He's one of my favourite models I've ever painted. I think he's one of my best paint jobs. Absolutely love him. And what I decided to do, particularly after putting up a recent poll you may have seen on the Great British Hobbit League about whether you prefer Golb or Bolg, which Golb absolutely smashed it, I thought it might be cool to use him this weekend as our Gundabad Orc captain. He's a much better model than the kind of Mickey Mouse captain, and he stands out and he just looks cool. And particularly given that, as I've explained, the what's it called? The one of the Gundabad conversions I have looks exactly like the captain. I think it might be cool to have this guy standing out. Obviously his armour's a bit different. We've got a Gundabad Orc captain with a shield, so he should have a sword and shield. This guy's got a giant two-handed pick thing and no shield. But my hope is basically that our opponents will go for the ruler call, and just kind of let us use him instead. I'll bring the captain along as well, just in case, but I think he'll look more imposing leading the band. So obviously you can see what I had to do, which was absolutely terrifying, was carve this model off of his existing base. And it actually went really well. I was terrified I was going to break an ankle or something. You know, not me on Bolg. But he actually came off really well. There's just a bit of, it's not even chipped, it's where the kind of base texturing was up there, so this bit never got painted. And what I did, I then went through my remaining Dol Guldur bases and found this one, which is perfect for him. So he's going to stand like this on here. Gorb! On this cool Dol Guldur base, and give me a kind of much better base for him, and he'll fit in with the army, which I think is really cool. So yeah, I decided, as stressed as I am with the painting, I can just about fit in doing one extra base. So I've dug this one out, I've painted it black and dry brushed it Mechanicus Standard Grey, which is the first steps in that. And so I'm just going to be doing this kind of in between colours on the different things to get him on. So there we go, that's my progress. Ultimately, I think I've done pretty well. It's not a disaster. I'd like to be a night ahead as I was planning to be, but basically SBG, the magazine, interrupted. On Sunday, I spent 6.5 hours on the phone to Tom, talking about the magazine and doing layout, screen share and all that, and that really cut into my painting time. So that's put me a bit behind, unfortunately. But I am still hopeful. I said it's Monday night. I'm listening to my audiobook now. I'm going to do a bit more painting. I'm listening to the whole series of Ice and Fire while I'm doing this project Gundabad, and I'm just about to get to the Red Wedding, so I think things are about to get emotional late night here at Twickenham. But I'm going to do a bit more of this tonight. I'm not going to have a chance to do anything tomorrow because we'll be doing the Palantir, and then I've basically got Wednesday and Thursday to get this done. That's the plan, and obviously I'm at work. So still quite a lot to go, but 2 huge painting sessions in the evening, and I'm fairly confident I'll get it done. So basically what's quite exciting is my hope is that I'm now going to have another hobby vlog which will go up on Friday daytime, which will be the army finished. I'm going to hoping to shoot that Thursday night, and basically will just be a bit of a kind of nice glorious army showcase, panning over the force of what I've got and what I'll be taking to doubles. And yeah, so we'll see. Hopefully that'll all go to plan. And yeah, I guess you'll have to let me know on Friday whether or not I did. And if you do go to doubles, please feel free to come up and have a look at the army in person. But yes, another few days of stress and Dol Guldur painting joy, and then it'll be done. So yeah, there we go. That's what I've been up to this time in Project Gundabad. So as ever, don't forget to comment, like, share and subscribe. Support your Hobbit host by clicking on the links below. Follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook. Support your Hobbit hobby, and happy strategy battle gaming.